What is up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. Today in this video we're going to be taking a look at how you can cut the grass in the rain. Or should you? Obviously it's not ideal, right? But for me, I was leaving town. I had a trip, and for about 2 days prior to, it was just rain, and I didn't really get a good chance to do it. So I did it in wet conditions and picked up a few tips along the way, 6 of them to be exact. So let's go ahead and get started. Tip number 1, wait for a break in the rain. See the water on the glass there? If you've got beads of water all on the glass, maybe things are just too wet and too saturated. So you want to wait and also check the conditions of the wind. Obviously the wind dries out the rain. You want it to dry out as much as possible of the blades of the grass. Obviously the ground itself could be saturated, but that doesn't mean the blades will be wet. So you want to kind of feel around, and hopefully the grass is as dry as possible. But it's possible that it's not, right? It's still wet. So what should you do? So let's go ahead and gas up the mower here, and we'll get started. Notice the bag is on it, and that would lead to kind of tip number 2. The ideal situation is to not bag this because it can jam up the little hole there and also just be really heavy and annoying, right? You might not get the bag all the way full either because the wet grass doesn't fly all the way back. So that would be tip number 2, to not bag your your grass clippings. Now, if you decide not to bag it, check this out. Let's go ahead and take off the bag, and you can see it just closed. The trap door kind of just closed there. Now, a big problem that people have when they cut the grass in the rain is that there's nowhere for the wet grass to go. Can you hear that? It's kind of like jamming up, right? The grass is not going into the bag. It's basically left underneath the blade to just kind of spin, and it kind of, hits the wet grass. Has no place to go is the moral of the story here. So you want to take a look at your lawnmower, and I'll kind of lead up to tip number 3 here, but let's listen in. Just what a hard time this mower is having. It's a pretty nice mower, not top of the line, but not a cheapie. And it's struggling. You can hear it kind of about wanting to die, right? It's definitely jamming it up. So let's take a look here. You want to look at your mower and see if it has kind of this little side compartment, right? This mulching option. I'm just checking everything out. Let's take a look under there. Kind of like what I was saying before. The grass is just gluing up or kind of jamming. It's stuck on the side. It's pretty wet, pretty nasty. Again, no place for it to go, right? So you want to avoid this situation as much as possible. So look for a little side compartment here. This mower has a little flap like this that you can lift up, and it has this little accessory attachment, and you kind of lift that plastic piece up and you fit that little mulching accessory on the side. Now this is only to be used when you don't have a bag, because it's going to basically allow all those wet grass clippings to blow out the side, and you're going to find that the operation of your mower is a lot more efficient in wet or damp conditions. So let's take a listen with that side accessory on. Go ahead and get it started here. And you can hear it's definitely handling it pretty well. So that is a highly recommended tip. Now, obviously your mower might not have that mulching feature along the side, and I've got some other tips to help you out here if you don't have that. There's a better shot at all that wet grass clipping just shooting out. And that's obviously what you want. Alright, so I'm going to take it up to the top of the hill, and I'm going to stop it, and I'll show you the next helpful tip. Alright, so the next tip here is to take a look at the settings, the height settings for your wheels, and you want to jack that up as high as possible. For example, if it was on a 6-inch, you might want to put it up to 8, or however that's measured, as high as possible, so you're not cutting as much grass. Now, obviously, when it dries, when the grass conditions dry out and you go to cut again, you might want to consider dropping that down. But that is definitely highly recommended. Get that blade up as high as possible, and you're going to find that it chews through the grass, the wet conditions, really well. Now, my next tip is to not make sure you do your layout, your cut layout, in a way that you're not running over, again, the mulchings that you just blew out, all that wet grass. In other words, you don't want to mow things twice, so to speak. So you want to make sure you're going, in this situation, you make sure that you're going, counterclockwise, so that that new grass that you're cutting is spit out to the right there, you can see. So I'm not actually mowing over that again as I turn the mower. So that would be another helpful tip, I think. If you've got really wet situations, wet conditions, don't mow over that wet grass again. All right, and my final tip is to row in half rows. Don't necessarily do the full width of your mower. If it's mowing less grass, again, it's going to be easier for you. So kind of do half rows, so to speak. You can see I'm not doing, it might take you more passes back and forth, but that'll help a lot. Now you can look underneath. If you follow those tips, you can see there's a little bit of wet stuff kind of going to the sides of your mower, but it's a lot cleaner and a lot better. Now your mulchings the next day or whenever it dries out, make sure you kind of break those up so it doesn't create too much thatch on your lawn. And if you do this every once in a while, cutting in wet conditions, it's not going to hurt your lawn too much at all. In other words, you're not going to have so much dead grass clippings everywhere that it's going to inhibit the growth of your lawn. So we'll go ahead and stop the video there, and hopefully this has helped you out. Don't forget to subscribe for more do-it-yourself home projects and tips and things like that. Thanks.